Welcome back to the LarryB YouTube channel. In today's class, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful twisted asymmetric neckline. You can see the twist on the neckline area, and one of the shoulder is sleeveless while the other has a long sleeve. It's a very simple tutorial, and I'm going to take you through how to cut and sew this. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so for this we're going to be using the slash and spread method. I already drafted my basic bodies, just your normal way of drafting your basic bodies. So in this case, I drafted the back. This is the back, so I used the back to draft the front. So when I was drafting the front, I made sure to put my paper on fold so that I can draw out my pattern. So if you notice, so when you open it up now, you can see that I have my full front pattern. So now let me explain the ones that I've done. Here is my bust line. My bust line, that's my bust point where the nipple is. For me, that's 11 inches. So from here you can see I have 11 inches for my bust point. So these are my two waist darts. So that is all I have done to this pattern. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to create my neckline. So the neckline is going to be sort of like an asymmetric neckline. So it's going to come from one side like this and then join to the other neckline. So for the neck depth, depending on what you want, I think I'm going to go with 5 inches, 4 to 5 inches, or you can do 4.5 inches. So you can see I'm placing it on the shoulder point of this line. So here I'm going to mark the neck point there, and then I'll make that into a straight line to join the shoulder. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and connect from there to the other neck point. Like I said, it's like you can see the shape that the neckline have, like an asymmetric shape. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to create the ruffle that we will have on this side. Remember, we have like a ruffle on this side. So to do that, still this line that I have, I'm going to extend the line downwards by 2 to 2.5 inches. Okay, the straight line here. So I'm going to extend it by, from where my neckline stops, I'm extending it by around 2 inches. Okay, which is here. Then I'm going to connect it to where I want it to stop. So now mine is going to stop around my armhole area. If you want yours to have more ruffles, if you want it to have ruffles up to your side, you can take it to this side. But for me, I'm just going to take my ruler and then I'm going to connect it somewhere on my armhole like this. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm connecting like this. So if yours, all the ruffles will just be around it, can spread a little here from the one you're going to do on this. But if you want yours to come down, you just need to connect anyhow you want it. But for me, this is what I want to work with. So let me just cut this neckline so that we'll not be having so many markings. So this is the neckline that we are working with, and I've gone ahead to cut it off so that we're not going to be confused. So from here I just came down and then I connected like that. So for that, like I said, we're going to be using the slash and spread method to achieve that. So for the slash and spread method, I'm going to, I think I've done something like that on the channel on a skirt. So I'm going to divide this into 2, and then I'm going to just eyeball it. So here, remember, I have 2 inches here. You can just eyeball it, or you just mark something there, and then the same thing here as well. You can eyeball it as well, or you just mark it. But for me, I'm just trying to divide this. So I will label this A and then label this B, and here I have to make something just so you can write join to be sure that this is where they join together. It's very important. You can even write down here so that you will know. It's very similar once you cut it out, so that you know that this is the down part and this is the upper part. Okay, so that is for the crossing part. You can cut that out or you can just leave it till you are done. Now we are going to introduce the ruffle that we are going to have on the other side. So for that, on my shoulder, depending on how ruffled or gathered you want it to be on your shoulder, but for me, I think I'm just going to have like 2 to 3 markings on my shoulder. Okay, so let me see, I have one here, I have one here, I'm going to have another one around here. So now I'll connect it the way I want it to form ruffles for me. So the last one here, I'm going to connect it to meet that leg that I have here. Okay, the second line here, I'm going to connect it to meet the second that leg here. So for that, you can use your free hand if you don't have a curve that can do that for you. So you can see I'm just trying to connect this to my second dart leg, and then for this last one, I'm going to connect to, you don't have to use 3 though, I'm going to connect this to just one side here. So those are going to be slash line that I'm going to have for the shoulder, for the ruffles that we have on the shoulder. If you notice, one shoulder is plain like this, but the other shoulder has ruffles that introduced drape to this as well. So this is all I'm going to be doing to this pattern. So what we'll do now is to go ahead and close our waist dart. So to close the waist dart, I'm going to, you can cut this out now. Okay, so let me just cut this other ruffle out and then keep it. We are going to work on it later so that we can work on the bigger one. So here I'm cutting this other one, and then I'll just keep it aside like this, and then we'll work on this. So for this now, I'm going to slash the lines that I have created to introduce ruffle to my shoulder. This one stops on the dart. I'll move to the second one and cut it out as well. The second one stops on the second dart as well, and then I'll go ahead and cut out the last one. So you bring in a fresh pattern paper to spread this on. Be careful not to cut it out. You just need to cut to the tip. You don't need to cut completely out. Okay, so now you can see I have cut out my slash lines. So what I'm going to do, like I said, I'll go ahead and close my waist darts. So those waist darts now, they are going to be transferred to the slash lines that I have cut out. So I've closed the first one. I'm going to go ahead and close the second waist dart. It's very simple. You just need to pay attention to it. It's very, very simple. The back is a normal back. The manipulations are just on the front pattern. So now I have closed this second dart as well, and I'm going to hold it down with my masking tape or gum or paper tape, whatever it is that you have. I'm going to use my sellotape for this. So you can see I've gone to glue the darts together so that they can stay in place, and they have opened this part up. So now to spread this, I'm going to introduce a fresh pattern like I said, and then I'm going to lay this on it. So now you start spreading. You can use your glue or paper tape as well for this. So you can see closing this dart has opened this part up for me. So I'm going to just maintain what I have there and then close it up, closing the second that opened this as well. So I'm maintaining this. So for this, you have a freedom of spreading to whatever length you want, but I'm not going to spread it too much. So I'm just going to spread by maybe 1 or 1.5 inches. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my glue to glue them down, and then I'm going to bring it back. So what you are doing is just to open it and then glue it down so that it can stay in place. There's nothing special. Okay, so you can see the spread that we have here. I used gum, so it's a bit wet. So on the shoulder here, I'm just going to place it on the first point here and the last point here, wherever it falls, and then I'm going to connect it together so that I have a straight shoulder. Now remember, this shoulder is now bigger, it's extended. We are going to gather it back to our normal shoulder measurement, which is this one. So that is what will give us the ruffle that we want. So now I'm grabbing my scissors and then I'm cutting out this shape that I have. I'm cutting this exact shape that I have, and then we're going to move to the second. Remember, we cut out something from here, so we are going to move to that second part now and then do our slash and spread on the second part as well. So I'm just going to leave this to dry. So here is the armhole area, and I'm going to cut out the armhole as well. So this is what the pattern looks like now. I hope you can see that. So for the second one, this is it. So remember, we divided it into A and B. So for the spreading that we are doing, I'm going to, this is the shoulder, mind you, this is the neckline. So I'm going to just, both A and B, I'm going to divide them into two, like this. You can divide more if you want, but I can spread as much as I want with this, so I don't need to divide too much. And like this. So this is the join part, this is what joins them together. So now I'm going to cut out this line so that the A and the B can be separate. So what we are doing now is to connect like this. This is A and this is B. So now I'm going to, the slash line that I used to divide A and the one I used to divide B, I'm going to slash it. So now we are not going to slash completely, we are just going to cut to the tip. That's for A, and for B we are doing the same thing. We are not going to slash completely, we'll cut and stop at the tip. So what I'm going to do now is to make sure that they face each other and they spread open as much as you want. So this, I think I'm just going to spread by around 4 to 5 inches. Okay, you can spread as much as you want, 6 inches, whatever you want. So now when you are spreading, it is important, because you see this part where we wrote join, we cut it out from there, so we have to sew it back. So for you to be able to sew it back, make sure that the join, the part you have joined, the part you have these arrows, they are both facing the same thing. You can see now they are both facing downwards now, while the other one are upwards. You cannot place it like this in such a way that the one where you have joined will be facing one side and then it will be facing another side for the other one. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So make sure that they are both on the same page, just like I have it here. And when you are spreading, make sure that the tips just aligns like this, and then you spread on another paper. So I'm going to do this now and bring it back. Okay, you can see now I have glued it down and they are facing each other. So what I'm going to do now is just to go ahead and cut this out, just like I cut for the first one. Okay, I'm cutting out this exact shape that I have. When I'm cutting on my fabric, I'm going to add half an inch to this so that I'll not be short of allowance when I'm joining them together. Okay. So this is the shoulder. I'm cutting that as well, and this is the part of my armhole. So for this now, I'm cutting out the little armhole that we have here as well, and this is what we have. So like I said, we need to still join this part together. That's why I said they have to be on the same point, so you can see. So this midpoint where we are joining it, when you cut on your fabric, make sure you notch that part. So these are the two patterns that we are working with. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut them out on my fabric and then bring it back. So you cut this, then you cut your back as well. Okay, so I'm gonna have to cut them on the pattern. So this is the back with the zipper allowance for the back. I have two for the back. This is the big side for the front. So here, this part is going to show, so you can use your bias to turn it in, okay, or you can just use cut facing for it. Just make sure you hem it, as well as the armhole. Armhole for this side is sleeveless, so you are not going to be attaching the sleeve to the part where you introduced these ruffles. So you make sure that this armhole is clean as well for this side, okay. And then this is the second part. So for this second part as well, this neckline, this neckline part, you should hem it inward, or you cut a facing for it as well. Make sure that the neckline area is neat as well. This down part, we are going to sew it back to this down, so you don't have to. But for this neckline, make sure you just find a way to just hold it in and make sure it's neat. The armhole here is going to have a sleeve, so you may not want to worry about that. So now to sew it, I will start with this small part. Remember I said you should notch the joining where you are going to be joining them together, and make sure that this join they are facing the same side. So I'm going to go ahead and take it like this to the sewing machine. What I'm doing is just folding this joint part on each other, and then I'm going to sew from here. So when you get to this part, you sew very close and make sure that you have a hole. You don't sew completely, is what I mean. So you start sewing from here, and then you stop somewhere around here, like 1 or half an inch of 0.75. Just make sure it's enough for you to pass your shoulder through. So you can see I've gone ahead to sew it, you can see, and then I just stopped here so that I'll have this. Oh, mine is very small. You can make yours bigger. So this is what it looks like now. You can see now that it's coming together. You're going to have your drapes here. You can see my armhole is coming back together, my shoulder is coming together as well, and here is my front neckline as well, that shape that we have for the front neckline. Okay, so now this hole that we created, I'm going to detach the big part of the front, and then I will pass this shoulder, this ruffle that we'll have on the shoulder. I'm going to pass it through the hole. Okay, so you can see, like I said, my hole is not so big, so I'm just going to take it one at a time and then pass it through that hole. You can see now, and then I'm going to arrange it well. Of course, this is my shoulder. Remember, this is not your actual shoulder width. It's still very big, so we are still going to gather it to form the ruffle. Remember, we added extra there for the ruffles. I'm talking about this slash and spread that we did here. So we're going to gather its back, and your back shoulder is going to guide you on what is supposed to be. So now I've passed this inside, and this is what I have. So the next thing now, this down part, I'm going to sew it to, let me try to explain this with my pattern. Okay, so now this part here is this part. Remember, we'll cut it off from here. So that part where we cut it off, which is where I wrote down here, it was like this, remember, to form the full armhole. That is the part here now, the down part. So I'll just flip like this and then sew them together so that they can form one single piece as well. So I'll take it to the sewing machine now and then sew as close as I can get. Okay, so you can see I'm gonna to sew that part as well. There's a notch there, so that notch I just stopped sewing where I have my notch. Let me look for the notch so that I can show you. Okay, so here is the notch. That notch is this part where the neckline meets the down part. Remember, this end is for neckline, this is the down part. So this middle part, that's where the notch is, and that was where I stopped sewing. So now let's arrange it and see what we have. Okay, you see that we have our complete armhole on this side back, and this is what we have here. This is the armhole for this side as well, and these are the drapes formed. So that's why I said this neckline here, I'm just going to fold it in for mine, make sure that it is neat for the two sides because it's going to show. So now this shoulder, I just want to run a loose stitch so that I can gather it back to my original shoulder measurement. Okay, so that it can form the drapes that I intend for it to form on that point as well. You can see that it's not coming together. So I'm going to bring my back bodies and attach the pattern and arrange it the way it's supposed to be. So this is the front. Now for your back as well, you make sure you turn your neckline. Okay, and the armhole for the part that is armless, especially, which is this side. So here you can see how I'm matching it. Make sure that the gathers that you have match with what you have here, and for the other side as well, I'm going to match the shoulder together and then sew. So after joining the shoulder, we'll flip like this and join it by the sides for the sew. Then you fix your sleeve to the side that has a sleeve. So that's all you need to do. Now that the front is ready, the front is a complicated part and we have done it. I just need to join the shoulder of the front and back together and then sew it by the sides. Okay, so I'm gonna have to join them, the shoulder and the side, and then I fix a sleeve to the side that has a sleeve. So this is what we have. I'm going to take it to the mannequin now so that you can see what it looks like. So for the back here, you just need to fix your zipper and sew the down part to it. So this is what it looks like after sewing and placing it on the mannequin. You can see the beautiful ruffles that we have there. You can see the twist neckline as well. I can see the part that has a sleeve and the one that does not have a sleeve. It's a very simple tutorial as you have seen, and it's really beautiful. It came out really well. I hope you enjoyed making this with me as well. If you enjoyed it, kindly let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe, and share this video with your fellow soulmates. This helps us to know that we are doing something right and you enjoyed the tutorial. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.